Hello everyone, and today we are back for another Loomian Legacy PvP video, and in this video we're going to be talking about JamiyJamies Year 2 Season 1 balance changes. I just got information on what these balance changes were almost 5 days ago, and let's just say that they are unfortunately very questionable. I'm going to be a lot more critical in this video than I have in past videos, but the most important part of this video is to not send hate for Jamie. He's just a PvP balancer trying to do his job. The best thing you can do in this situation is, if there's a balance change you do not like, try to explain why the balance change doesn't work, and instead of just saying that the balance changes suck because they suck. That's what I'm going to try to do in this video. I'm going to explain why this balance change is good, and why the balance changes are not good. I'm going to explain it for each and every single part of the balance list, or the change list. You know, the balance changes list. So, out of the way, let's head straight into the video. Alright, here is the Year 2 Season 1 balance changes, aka the weather season. I reviewed this list like 6 months ago, but unfortunately the meta has not changed since then. I mean, they added a horse, and yeah, that's kind of it. So, a lot of these are pretty similar to what they were in the past, but Jamie added a couple new things. So, let's just first get started on the banned Loomians. For Year 2 Season 1, Nova Diaz, Sorelli, Soulburst Icicle, and Gargoyle Attack is banned. Can I tell you what I would grade Jamie for this ban list? F-. There are a couple reasons why I'm making this F-. Because Cephalops is unbanned. That thing just clicks Soul Drain and wins. Morphezu is unbanned. Morphezu literally hits so flippin' hard, it literally takes 0 skill to use. You click Typhoon and win, even against metal types. And there's a certain item that isn't on the list. There's a certain mod that is not banned. Why is the Imperial Burst not a banned item? Soulburst Imperior needs to be banned, especially with the fog changes, making you immune to priority moves. It's gonna make Soulburst Imperior flip and busted, especially with Broad Boost. Another mod that should be banned, even with the nerfs coming up, Brancata. Rush Hour Brancata is just as strong. The reason why it's just as strong is you can conserve your Rush Hour boost until you attack. Not to mention, Brancata still has its same coverage and a high melee attack stat that gets combined with Specialty Gloves and a high base power move in Blaze of Glory. The fact that Soulburst Imperior and Brancata are both allowed in the next meta is really rough, and I feel like that Jamie should ban Soulburst Imperior and ban Brancata as well. Ban Morphezu while we're at it as well, because Morphezu is just busted as well. And then unban Soulburst Icicle, because Beta Haze really isn't that good right now. And we haven't even used Soulburst Icicle ever since the nerf it had to Party Trick. So, unban Soulburst Icicle, ban Soulburst Superior, ban Brancata, ban Morphezu. Ban Soulburst Superior because too oppressive, same with Brancata, and same with Morphezu. They're all way too oppressive. That's why the ban Loomians is F. I won't make it F-. I'll make it F. I'll just give it a normal F. Because at least Gargoyle Attack is banned. It's Sorelli, so there's that. I don't agree with the ban list, but, you know, it's how it is. Hopefully this video, Jamie sees it, and he's like, oh yeah, those two are pretty powerful. Let's ban them as well. So, I have to give this an F right now. Now, we got the weather changes. Fog weather. There are too many inconsistencies with Spirit-type Loomians ignoring abilities. Instead, let's rework it so the weather will now shake all priority moves. So now all the priority moves can be blocked. And honestly, I do not hate the weather change. I'm going to give it a C for now, but I can see some mods being very powerful with the new fog changes. This is mainly Soulburst Imperior and Dusket, because Dusket is now immune to Shadow Sprint and Counterpoise. And one of the few ways to actually hit Soulburst Imperior is by using priority moves. With it being immune to moves like Lightspeed Ray, Light Dash, and Counterpoise, I feel like it's going to make those mods really powerful under Fog. But other than that, I think it's a solid change. And I understand why they're getting rid of the Fog ability and changing it completely. It's definitely going to change the meta, though, because now Tyranics will not be consistent at switching into Verental Sword and Brancata, because their abilities will not be disabled. So I don't know how it will do overall with the meta, but I'm going to give it a C. I don't hate this change, but I do see how this weather could be very annoying, especially for mods like Revenant. Oh my god, Revenant's going to be so tough with this, especially with the Magnify buff, but we'll get to that later. But C tier. C tier change. I'll be nice. You know what? I'll be nicer. B minus. B minus. Alright. Brand new abilities being introduced. The Toasty ability. The user is immune to the Frostbite status condition. It will gain a resistance to ice-type moves. I don't hate this. I like this balance change. Especially with the mods that's getting it as well, because Crackalola and Cradle will be getting Toasty, meaning that they'll be able to switch into ice-type moves a lot more effectively. So that's going to be very clutch for them. I like this change. Especially when you replace Scorching Skin from Smink and Crackalola. Crackalola is still insane with Scorching Skin, even though it fell out of the meta. So, I'm fine with this. Tailwind, this user speed is double while Strong Gust Weather is alive. This one I'll give a C-, and the reason why I'm a little bit iffy on this one is because I can imagine a Tailwind Mon being an Air type, and then it not only getting double speed from the ability, but also getting the speed buff from the Strong Gust. I hope that when Jamie adds Tailwind Mons, they will not be Air types. So, but I don't know. Jamie has not played the meta in a while. He would probably give Tailwind to an Air type mod if we're not careful. So, C-. But I don't hate this change. I think it's a cool ability, but the problem is that if given to certain Loomians, I think it's going to be too busted. Alright. Ability changes. Inferno. Change to hurt the user for 16% of their HP instead of 1/8. This one I am okay with. I think for this one, I'm going to give it a B tier. I mean, it's a nice buff. It buffs Chartiki, but at least it's a solid buff. Like, at least it doesn't make the Inferno set complete garbage. So, Inferno actually kind of has a niche. Adaptable, S tier. I mean, that ability needs to be buffed. Nothing else to really say there. That ability needs to be buffed. That ability needs to be buffed. Right now, Cosmeleon just really isn't that consistent, so I think it's fine. Power Leg's getting changed. I see what they're trying. I see what Jamie's trying to do with Power Legs. Nerf it so it's less than 40%, but making it hit twice? I don't know if I agree with that. I do like how he's changing the ability, but I feel like the problem with this is that Power Legs having the ability change, and then you still have Power Claw at 50% is crazy. Because Venusaur is super strong. But yeah, it's so strong it made me sneeze. But yeah, Venusaur is still flipping strong, and I feel like Power Claw also needs a nerf to from 50% damage to 30%. I'm fine with Power Jaw being 50% because chomping moves are weaker than the typical slashing and kicking moves. But the slashing moves and the kicking moves are a lot stronger. So I am glad that Power Legs is getting nerfed, but I do feel like that he should have also applied this to Power Claw as well. So I'll give it a C tier. Loomian's gaining new abilities. I mean, A. It's an A tier change because Territorial sucks. A tier change for Crackalola getting Toasty instead of Scorching Skin. I just hate being burned for no reason. Cradle will now get Boneheaded instead of Combustible. This one I don't like as much, so C-. I think Combustible I would much rather have on Cradle than I would have on Vocaloa. Vocaloa, on the other hand, that's an A tier change. Broad Boost recoiling sets now work now. You can use Clutch Plushie, Broad Boost, Blaze of Glory. Then if you can combine that with a Blaze Rush, this thing can be dangerous. Coconut Bomb will also not recoil you as well. So I actually really like this ability change. I think this ability change is a boom. I like this for Vocaloa. Gumpod Invitation will now get Inferno. I like that. I think it having a Heat Wave mode is nice. It will give you a water type that you can use under Heat Wave without it being weak to Earth, so I like that. Terrafly will get Tailwind instead of Hotfoot. I'm okay with this. The thing I'm scared about is, while under Strong Gust, its Toxic type moves will be extremely buffed and extremely fast. But it is a lot better than Hotfoot, because Terrafly under the Heat Wave just really doesn't work that well. So having it work under Strong Gust is something I would rather have. Kabunga will now get Sly instead of Territorial. I mean, anything to replace Territorial is always going to be a good buff. Now, honestly, the Loomians gaining new abilities, that Jamie cooked on these. I think Jamie cooked on these. I like these. But now we're getting into the move changes. So, move changes are here. Here we go. So, the move changes. So, Steel Trap is going to be changed back. It basically changed back to what it was before. I'm going to give it a C. I don't like... It's never going to be used anymore, but I can see why they did it. The geyser buff is nice. I like the geyser buff. That's going to be an A tier change. The reason why the geyser buff is an A tier change is because it will make it so you can actually use it under heat wave. I don't think it will burn anymore, but the increased strength, it getting boosted in the heat wave weather makes it, again, it really helps ventation a lot. And I think I'm fine with boosting offensive ventation a little bit. Alright, now we're going to put all of these blasting moves together. All of these blasting moves will be down under one grade. I'm going to be grading... Great. Blasting moves, total grade. And I'm going to rank these all together because they all now do the same thing. They will now only target one mon while outside the weather. They will only hit both opponents when they're in their respective weather, and they will no longer have an accuracy increase. So, what do I think about this change? Like, who is going to use these moves? Who is going to use these moves now? Why would you reduce their accuracy when they're outside of their respective weather? Like, I understand that the weathers are very strong, especially when they're boosted, but reducing the accuracy of the blasting moves legit does nothing to help it. Because I don't think Jamie realizes that the reason why a lot of the weather mods are very powerful is because of other stuff. Like, for example, our Pygo isn't powerful because a Hydro Blast boosted hits under weather. It's because he gets a Magnify off and then does it. Or it has a pivot move while having double speed. How about Infernix? Infernix is strong because of flipping Magnify under Heat Wave. Or not to mention that now Prowler Revenine has Magnify now. And Pivot. It has... These mods are not overpowered because the blasting moves do a lot of damage. It's because they have other stuff that they need to lose. They're just too strong because of their coverage and also their speed tiers while they're under the weather. So, nerfing the blasting moves is the worst way to go along with this because now no one's ever going to use a blasting move. And these mods are still going to be super strong with flipping Fire Breath or Douse or flipping Climate Cannon. Like, they have other move options. Like, these mods... This does nothing to nerf any of the weather mods. This is horrible. Horrible change. Don't do this. Nerfing the blasting moves to have lower accuracy does nothing. Instead of nerfing the blasting moves to have no accuracy while under weather, you should just nerf the individual mods and make them lose certain moves. Or make it so their abilities while under weather only gets increased by +1 instead of +2. Trust me, that would go a long flippin' way. So, F- on all of the blasting moves. All of them. F-. Alright. Capriole. Decrease strength from 100 to 105. Increase accuracy from 90 to 85. I'm fine with this. I'll give this a B tier change. Not that much of a change, but any nerf to Rankata is nice. And even though it has an increased accuracy, I think having the base attack stat decrease from 105 to 100 is nice. I like that. So that's a B tier change. Now, we're getting into Loomians getting new moves. So, we're going to start with Cosmere getting Climate Cannon. I like this change. This will actually make Cosmere crack really good inside of other weathers. I think that's an A tier change. Onigaga gets a B tier. I don't think it's ever going to use Climate Cannon or Gale Force, but it has that option now, which is nice. Oh my god, Z-Drake is going to get Climate Cannon and Trick Brew. I'm going to give this an A- because I like this more than Onigaga getting it, but I don't like it as much as Cosmere getting it. This will actually make those insulated Rageful Plushie Z-Drake sets actually very dangerous, especially when you use them in the weather. You can use like some kind of weird fog Z-Drake set with insulated, and then you can use Climate Cannon Spirit, or you can even use Heat Wave insulated. The problem is that you take a lot of damage from the fire type move, but if you get that Rageful Plushie boost off after a pop, you can actually pop off with this. So I actually like this. Swishy, aka Fishcarda, is getting Climate Cannon and Safeguard. I like these. I think Climate Cannon on Fishcarda is a cool idea. Also with Zeppelin. I think Zeppelin getting Climate Cannon is good. Hydrolid not as much because it's a Hydrolid, but hey, it has other options now. Has other options it can use now. Now we have the Parasol line. It gets Climate Cannon and Thunderstrike. I'm giving this, actually, I'll give this a D+, not a D-, but D+. The reason why I'm giving this a D+ is because these are legit range moves. Parasol does not need any range moves. It does nothing to help Parasol, especially when an additional move they can add is just this. Gnarly Gash is a move they can add to Parasol right here. It doesn't have Gnarly Gash. That would have been the perfect buff for Parasol to get. I mean, it is getting an ability change. But even then, like, it's just, I don't think it's coming this season, and I think the ability change will happen next season. But still, if you want to buff flippin' Parasol, instead of giving it Climate Cannon and Thunderstrike that we'll almost never use, giving it Gnarly Gash is the way to go. It's a Dark type move. It's a Dark type Mon without Gnarly Gash. So, yeah, D+. Sit him off getting Climate Cannon. That's good. I think it's a good change. You can now use this with other weathers. It might actually be solid under other weathers now, especially when you use it in the Heat Wave. I feel like Heat Wave set him off might actually be dangerous. Gobbademic will get an A tier because Climate Cannon and Gobbademic on a fast Mon makes it a decent range attacker, especially under certain weathers. The Spreezy line also gets it. I like that too. I like Spreezy getting Climate Cannon. Climate Cannon on Spreezy is a really good addition to its move kit. Now we got Ventation getting Mega Buff. Keep in mind that Ventation is already a top 5 most used Loom right now. So it gets Climate Cannon, Downpour, Heat Wave, and Trip Root. I don't hate all of these moves. Trip Root I think is cool because it can hit other waters. Downpour and Heat Wave, yeah, makes sense. Climate Cannon might be a little too far. I don't think Ventation should get Climate Cannon, but you know what? Not the end of the world. I'll take it. So, B tier. Shermont gets Climate Cannon, A tier change. It should get this. It's a move it should get. Fancub gets Rogue Assault. It might make Ursul powerful with Glove's Rogue Assault, but I don't hate the move. I think it needs it, but it might make it broken, so I would watch out for Rogue Assault Ursul. I will have a close eye on that Mon. Trip Root, it's just C+. I mean, nothing bad about the chain. It just gets another move. It won't use it, but it has another move, so that's good. Then you got Dobo getting Trip Root and Heat Wave. I'm fine with this. Trip Root to hit Luminami could be clutch. I don't think it's going to use these moves, but I mean, it is a nice addition for Infernax, so it's nice. Alright, Whipple Drift. One of my favorite mons in the game, getting Poison Barbs, Landslide, and Rock Slide. And you think that a buff to Whipple Drift will make me extremely happy because I love using Whipple Drift. But this is what I think of it. F-. 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 Poison Barbs on a flippin' Strong Gust setter. I don't think anyone realizes how busted that is. That doesn't even mention that it also has Landslide to hit opposing Toxic types for super effective damage, meaning they can't remove the Poison Barbs without getting hit by a super effective move. But hey, at least you have Stratosaur. Silver Stratosaur can at least switch in. Hell no, because Rock Slide hits it for quad effective damage. Whipple Drift does not need any of these moves. Whipple Drift is already strong. It doesn't need these moves. It will make it too strong. It already has Climate Cannon, so it can be used in other weathers. It already has Grass Air Stab. If you want to buff, if you really want to add a move to Whipple Drift that would actually make it good, it has move options right there. You have Energy Surge and Gamma Pulse right there. You just add one. You just add stronger light coverage to hit Ancients and call it a day. It doesn't need Poison Barbs, it doesn't need Landslide, and it doesn't need Rock Slide. Whipple Drift is going to be insanely strong with these 3 moves. I guarantee it. Especially with a Mon that has Hasten and Magnify, who could set up and win the game on the spot. Whipple Drift does not need these moves. Whipple Drift does not need these moves. It does not need these moves. It's going to be too strong with it. I guarantee it. And this is coming from someone who uses Whipple Drift all the flippin' time. F-. Nothing else to say there. Don't do this, Jamie. Don't do this. Don't do this. Anyway, Kabunga. And this counts for every evolution to the Kabunga line. This counts Chartiki. This counts Wiki. This counts Thawmin and Festifer, I think, too. And D. The reason why it's D, it's because on Wiki, I don't hate it. I hate it on Chartiki. I hate it. Festiver already has it, so it's just Chartiki I hate it on. Last thing we should be doing is bumping Chartiki and giving it flippin' tricky tactics. Maybe make it as a level up. Maybe make it as a level up move for Wiki, and not give it the Chartiki. Because the last thing we need is to give Chartiki a way to hit flippin' Venusaur and Tata. Or other hard-hitting melee attackers while we're at it. Because one of the biggest flaws with Chartiki right now is its lack of damage output and return. It literally does everything else. So if you're giving it tricky tactics to hit those stinking melee attackers even harder, it's legit just gonna do a bunch of damage to the melee attackers. The Chartiki will be almost impossible to beat! So, D. Not F tier because I understand where Jamie's trying to go with this, but we don't need to buff Chartiki right now. Chartiki does not need any buffs. Now, we got the Ludrix getting Wavewrecker and Deja Vu. I mean, it's fine. Deja Vu is a nice option to disable opposing Loomians, and Wavewrecker is a melee move that can do a lot of damage, so it's never going to use it, but it has those options, which is nice. I actually like Climate Cannon and Protogon. I actually like Climate Cannon. This will give Protogon a lot of options to beat other mods it couldn't have in the past. I did wish it did get Pepper Burst too, but it doesn't need it right now. Just it getting Climate Cannon is already a huge buff for it, so I like this buff. I think Protogon getting buff is needed right now. Now we got the Cradle Evolution line, getting Heat Wave and Magma Block. Wait a minute. There is one thing I'm trying to think about it. So Kabunga evolves. Wait a minute. I just realized something. Kabunga evolves into Chartiki. So yeah, Chartiki would get Tricky Tactics, not Vocaloa. Yeah, I'm right on that one. It's Cradle that evolves into Vocaloa. So yeah, Vocaloa gets it, and Vocaloa gets Heat Wave and Magma Block, which, I mean, it's fine. It's a fine change. I'm actually okay with this one. The thing I don't like is this. Flipping Magma Block Chartiki. Again, Chartiki does not need any buffs. If they do change Magma Block to burn the opposing mons, this is literally going to burn every single melee attack in existence where they can never break through it! Again, stop buffing Chartiki. It doesn't flippin' need it. So, yeah, there's that. Landtorch gets Heat Wave and Flare Blast, which I'm okay with. I think it's okay getting these moves. Especially if they don't nerf the accuracy of Flare Blast, Jamie. So, I think I'm fine with these changes here. Zulog gets Thunderstorm, which, you know, it gets Thunderstorm. There's not really much to say about the move. It's never going to run it, but it could. You never know. It's fine. Same with Joltu. I mean, it's never going to run it, but it's nice to have it. Ikazune's the same way. Again, it will never run it, but it's nice to have it. I mean, I think all these weather boosting abilities do the same, except for Wendelin, because Wendelin actually gets Haro now. Good. I actually like that I like that Wendelin is getting Haro now. So I'm trying to move this down so y'all can see the rest of the move. So Wendelin gets Haro. That's a nice buff for it. It needs a good melee spirit type move that can take advantage of Sharp Claws. Now that it finally has one, that's really good. Now you have Magnify and Charred Claws getting added to Revenite. And I'm going to give this a B. And the reason I would get it higher if it wasn't for something else lower down. We'll get to our Pygo in a second. But the thing is, I think Magnify and Revenite is okay. Because it is a lot frailer. The problem is I'm worried about that stupid fog. It's one of those cases where Magnify Revenite is going to be so tricky to beat if you're not able to priority it down. So, I'm actually dropping a grade. I think Revenite is going to be busted with flipping Magnify if we're not careful. Especially with the way Fog is getting changed. And also considering the fact that Jamie is nerfing our Pygo from Magnify for the same reasons, but just doing it with Revenite instead. Just shows that it feels like he's making balance changes for the sake of balance changes and to change the meta instead of actually making the meta more stable. It kind of proves my point because why nerf our Pygo and then buff Revenite and give it the same move? They both have weather boosting abilities and they both have insane coverage moves that hit everything in the game. Yes, Revenite does not have as much bulk, but it doesn't need to. Give it a clutch plush, you click Magnify and you win. Skeleton getting Broad Boost is nice. I like that. A- change. Definitely could use it in its Soul Burst form, especially when the rain is already up. Her Golem gets Gale Force. I'm gonna get this a tier higher than Ikazune's for level Wax and Zaleo. Because I could see a mon like a bulky Gargoyle defense use Gale Force to support the team. I could see that. I could see like a Gargoyle of Speed or a Gargoyle of Defense use Gale Force to support the rest of the team. Especially once the Wind Center is dead. So, I actually am going to give this a grade higher than the other weather setting mons. Raging Howl and Stun on Cosmillion, I'll get this a B+. Nice buffs to Cosmillion. I am a little bit worried about Mr. Stun over here, but I mean, it can't be much worse than Raging Flame, so it's another option for it to use. Valkyrie's getting buff, which I I like the buffs to give it, but I feel like Valkyrie doesn't need buffs right now. Plus, it doesn't have a melee metal move right now. It doesn't have Steel Crusher. It doesn't have Vice Jaws. It doesn't have Double Whack. It doesn't have a good melee metal move ever since they changed Holy Slash to hit from the range side, meaning melee Valkyrie cannot be used. And I know no one's ever going to use melee Valkyrie. They're all going to use range. But the fact that we don't have that option to use melee Valkyrie because it doesn't have a melee metal move is very frustrating. I would love it if it got one of those 3 moves. But, you know, these buffs are fine. It hits Turtiki for super effective damage. It hits him harder, so I'm not going to hate that. B-. Chart Claws and Terra Claw, Future Change, basically just changing it from having Toxic coverage to Fire coverage. Doesn't hit bulky waters as hard, but it still kind of does, so B. I'm fine with that. Terrafly getting a buff, A-. I'm fine with this. Stronger air-type coverage move makes it so its ambush sets are actually really good. And Double Beat makes it actually can hit for tank and clutch push. So, I like this change for Terrafly. I would be careful because it does have Drudge and an ability that boosts its speed by +2. But I don't think it's the worst. I think it's just barely in check, so I think it's fine. And Copy will get Disperse. Disperse? Okay. You know what? I actually hated the Magnify change earlier, which I was going to say this. I was actually originally going to give this an F tier, but now looking at what JB's trying to do, I see what he's doing. You know what? I'm a little bit more on board now. I'm going to give both of these C+, because I see he's trying to nerf our Pygo, but still give it a setup move to use. You know what? You know what? I don't hate this. Removing Magnify, I think, is eat it, and then adding Disperse. You know what? I'm down with it. You know what? I actually like this. I actually hated this before, but I know I skipped ahead a little bit, but I hated this before. But if it's getting Disperse over Magnify, I'm fine with that. I think it's a nerf, but it doesn't completely kill our Pygo kind of thing. Plus, Goggles is still viable. I think I like that. Now, we're into Loomians losing moves. Loomians that are losing moves. Now, Terraclaw will lose Baneful Bash and Venom Chomp, as only Terrafly will get them as level 1 moves. I'm okay with this, but I feel like it's completely unnecessary, especially since there are other mons that need to lose moves. And honestly, for the Loomians losing moves list, I'm giving it an F. The reason why I'm giving it an F is because there's so many other mons that need to lose critical moves. We need to have Tyranix lose Fade Away. I'm done with that thing having double pivot and just pivot spam on teams. I'm done with that. We have Phagenon, who's just there, sitting there with Magnify, and just sweeping teams when people don't know what's coming. We have flippin' Magnify Phagenon, who's just a flippin' demon if you're not ready for it. So yeah, I think Phagenon should lose Magnify. I think flippin' Broncata should lose flippin' Mega Kick, so flippin' bug types can switch into it, especially with Broncata unbanned. People are gonna use this stupid horse and hit everything still, so if you want to make it unbanned, better make it lose Mega Kick, my friend. You better make it lose Mega Kick. And yeah, there's probably some other moves that are also missing. Yeah, Tyranix should lose Fade Away. Phagenon should lose Magnify. Oh yeah, Himber too. Himber should lose Deep Freeze. It should not be able to hit bulky waters or super effective damage. It's fine that we had this experiment, but that should go away. And the final mod is Luminami should lose Mega Chomp. And this one might not be the most necessary, but I want it so plant types can actually switch into it a little bit easier. So, yeah, that's what I would do. The fact that none of these mons are losing moves is the reason why this is getting an F tier. That more Loomians should lose moves, because these mons are just so busted in this meta. And if Jamie, if you played this meta, you would know what I mean. You would agree with me if you see these mons on every team using these moves and cooking. These mons are ridiculous. It's not just Himber either. I was even thinking about making Chartiki lose a move, but I'm going a little too far with that. So, yeah. Like, I just wish Jamie played the meta a little bit more, because if he knew a little bit more about the meta, he would actually understand what I'm trying to say, talking about why Phagenon should lose Magnify and why Tyranix should lose Fade Away. So, we're getting into the bugs that are changed. I'm not really going to do many grades on this except for one. I mean, Beast Slumber, I mean, you know, is a bug change. It's how it goes. The cores, I actually like the core change. Yeah, it's a bug. Devious does not bypass tank. I like this change. That's an A tier change. Guru, it's kind of sad, but I understand why they did it. Demanding does not stack with life drain. Fine. Yeah, Flip and Conspire just doesn't work in general. S makes it work. And this one, yeah, S on this one too. Best, but no, I saved one more. This is the last criticism. This is the last thing I'm going to criticize about the Jamie's balance changes. It's the weather globes. If the weather's already active, a Loomian holding the corresponding weather globe switches into battle. The globe shouldn't activate until after the weather has changed. Now, the thing is, I do not know about this, because it's one of those things where if it's the same weather, I don't understand what this balance change is. If it's making it so the opposing weather globes don't work until the weather ends, then I hate that change. That's an F- change. But if the opposing weather globes still override the opposing weather, then that's a good change, because this makes it so... So, let me give you an example. If it's like Heatwave Infernix uses a heat globe, and you have 5 turns of Heatwave, and the heat globe doesn't get used until the Heatwave ends. But if you have a Rain Globe on Infernix and Heatwave is up, and the Rain Globe activates immediately as Infernix comes in, this is an A+ change. That's a buff to globes, while still making the globes useful. But if it's all the globes with opposing weathers that do what the Heatwave Infernix thing is, then that's an F tier change. So, I think it's just the same. I do think, judging by this, if it's the same weather globes not being activated until the weather ends, then that's an A tier change. If it's all the globes that do this, even globes that correspond to different weathers, also wait till the weather ends before it activates, then that's an F tier change. So that's what I will say. But yeah, this is the balance changes for Year 2, Season 1. And honestly, it's not the best. Not the best balance changes, personally. There's a couple good ones here, but a lot of these I do not agree with, especially the banned Loomians list is by far the worst part. Soulburst Imperior, Brancata, Cephalops, Morphezu. They're literally just gonna be running rampant on every team. Hopefully Jamie changes this and add those mons in, because holy crap, those mons are gonna be chaotic. So yeah, that's probably the worst part of the list. Best part, you know, everyone getting climate cannons is cool, and I like using weathers. So, yeah, overall, I don't like the list too much, unfortunately. Sorry for all the crap, Jamie. It's just, I don't like these. As someone that's played the meta so much, it's just, it's tough. Like, the meta's legit gonna be even more toxic unless other changes happen. Like, that's the thing. If you played the meta right now as it is, and you see how it is, you would know what I mean. Because this meta is utterly garbage right now. And I feel like these balance changes don't really improve it too much. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong in this occasion, but as someone that's played a lot of competitive leagues and plays Loomian Legacy almost every day right now, I don't think these balance changes are going to work. I feel like we need to revamp some of these. That's what I think. Tell me in the comments below if y'all agree with me or agree with Jamie, or if there's some other balance changes y'all want to do. I am going to make another video of what I would do if I was the PvP balancer, and if I were making balance changes for Year 2 Season 1. That video will be out in a couple days, so be ready for that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video of me talking about the balance changes for Year 2 Season 1, and I'll see y'all all later. Bye-bye!